Boston sports fans, welcome back to another episode of Average Boston Sports. I'm back here with Anthony Bellomo, and today we are going to be talking about the Celtics' stellar performance against the Chicago Bulls last night. The big win, they needed 23 points to get into the in-season tournament, and going into that game, I was totally not really having high expectations about getting that 23 points. I didn't know how invested our players would be into this in-season tournament. We got a lot of veterans on the team. I don't know about that $500,000, but that might not be too grand of a prize for them to play for. But they went out there, they played their asses off. Drew Holiday asked at halftime, they were like, "Oh, is it in the back of your head a little bit? Are you thinking about it?" He seemed a little nonchalant, like, yeah, it's in the back of my head, but we want to respect the game of basketball. And I was scared at halftime. I was like, oh no, they're going to let it go. They did not let it go. Big win for the Celtics. They are in the in-season tournament and now the third seed in the in-season tournament. Anthony, what were your thoughts last night?
Well, first off, Scal said he was talking to Luke Cornett, and he asked him what he would do with that money, and Luke said he's going to pay off his mortgage. So that $500,000 might mean a little more to some of the guys on the end of the bench.
No, definitely
more than like Jalen and Tatum.
And they got a lot. They got a lot of playing time last night, and I love that strategy. Throw the guys out there that want that money. Throw the dogs out there because Luke Cornett's out there. Sam Hauser's out there putting put back dunks out there. Peyton Pritchard pulling up from deep. I mean, this team, like, even when we have to go deep into the bench, it seems like those bench guys just fit what we're trying to do so well. And props to Luke Cornett. At the beginning of the year, me and you both very skeptical of what he could provide as the backup center and the guy that has to step up when Porzingis can't play. That he's injury riddled and has not been able to stay healthy his entire career. And I was very scared about, him getting significant minutes in big time games in an in-season tournament game. It's as big as it gets this early. And he stepped up. He played amazing. He's played amazing these past couple weeks, and I've loved him. And honestly, I don't want to see any moves. I don't want to see any moves for a backup center because Luke Cornett really, I think, has taken a major step this year, especially in pick and roll defense. He's looked a lot better since that Knicks game.
He reminds me a lot of Daniel Tice in this recent stretch. More so like he knows what he's capable of, and he's playing his role really well. Like he never tries to do too much, but he's steady. And, even I feel one thing I'm happy about is he's kind of gone away from the corn test, which I feel like people were beginning to just shoot over it, and it wasn't really being effective at all. But now he's like closing out. He's been blocking a good amount of shots in the interior, which has been one of my biggest criticisms. I feel like he was at the beginning of the season one of the worst defensive rebounding 7-footers in the league.
It's just he's very clumsy. It just seems like, even when he gets a box out, there's one little bump to him. He doesn't have that stocky build to like kind of stay in there and grab the rebound. So he was getting pushed off his spot a little bit. And I didn't like that. But it seems like, where he lacks, size and strength, he makes up for it with his amazing length and his ability to get his hand on the ball no matter where it goes. And so I've loved everything I've seen from him. Yeah, he's not the prototypical backup center that we wanted, the guy that's going to be, hustling for rebounds and, just like flying off the pick and roll and like pressing up in good coverage. No, he's not doing that, but he's still being effective. He's still finding ways to be effective. The 3-point shot attempts have gone down this year, and I like that. He's not a great 3-point shooter. I think Daniel Tice, like you connected them both. I think Daniel Tice is a way better 3-point shooter, but we don't need that from him. No. We don't need him to come in and play the Porzingis role. We need him to come in, grab some boards, play good defense, and just space the floor very well. And he's done a great job. I've loved everything I've seen for the past couple weeks.
I agree.
And so looking at these stats, we had Jaylen Brown. He started off very hot, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Jason Tatum, I just mixed them both up. That was Jason Tatum's stats, 21, 7, and 4. Jaylen Brown, 30 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. Jaylen Brown's playmaking has been phenomenal this year. I think it has taken a major step. Yes, the left hand is still very questionable. When he goes to the left, he is having the highest turnover rate in the league. It's stats that you can't run away from, but I cannot tell you what the eye test. I cannot explain how important the eye test is. And Jaylen Brown, with Porzingis on the court, has looked amazing. With him off the court, has looked amazing as a passer. He's just finding open guys, and these guys are knocking down open shots. I think that the playmaking step up from Jaylen Brown didn't need to be driving with the left hand and finishing. It did not need to be that. It just needed to be find the open guy because he's pulling 2 defenders every single time he's in the post.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that step back mid range,
it's automatic.
Automatic. It's over 50% this year. And I think teams are going to start having to double team Jaylen Brown as much as Jason Tatum. And with that is going to come, playmaking opportunities. And we got some of the best shooters coming off the bench. Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, to name a couple. And I have loved what I've seen from him as a passer. And if he can continue that, I really do not see how this team is going to get stopped.
I agree. And even last night, you see Jaylen driving to the basket, and he has like 2 guys on him. Doesn't matter. Like, he makes it look so easy. Like,
Scal said this during the game. He is definitely in conversation for a top 3 transition player in the league. I think
for sure
he's a better transition player than Jason Tatum, but every time I see him leaking out and Drew Holiday, Derek White start the break, it's a Jaylen Brown layup, and it's either going to be an and one or you're just going to give him a layup. And
it doesn't even matter if his layups are contested. He finishes almost every time.
It's insane. When people are watching Jaylen Brown and say, "Oh my God, how does he fit with Jason Tatum? How do these 2 guys? How are
he's
these
not worth $300 million?
He's not worth $300 million. No, Jaylen Brown is an elite wing. And if you saw him on the Atlanta Hawks or as a first option somewhere else, a first scoring option at that, you would see the numbers go up and you'd see a lot of more people talking about him being worth that $300 million. And what he brings to the table is just another amazing transition outlet. Derek White is amazing on transition. Drew Holiday is one of the best playmakers in transition. Jason Tatum, yeah, he doesn't have the finishing ability as Jaylen Brown, but more times than not, on a fast break, you're going to see that layup go in. And,
even Porzingis has been doing really well in transition as well.
And he has been spacing the floor very well in transition. We've seen a lot of bigs mess up those transition opportunities for the Celtics early in Al Horford's career. Before he started taking those threes, he was clogging up the middle on those fast break opportunities, trying to be the big that's running. Like when you're told at a young age, big man's going to get fed if you just run the floor. So Al Horford is, as his career has gone on, he's stretched back to the 3-point line, and we're seeing a lot more space in transition. And it's just created more opportunities for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. This team, if we can create turnovers and push the ball and, keep the pace high, we're top 5 in pace this year, I really cannot see any team that can stop us in transition and in the half court in a 7-game series. That's not something that can happen. It's just a little bit of icing on the cake because back in the past, the half court offense at times, ISO heavy, can go into spurts where it's, not looking very good for us. And then, we get some transition buckets and then it feels good. This year, I think we've taken a significant leap in our transition offense. And Joe Mazzulla, I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, teaching these guys about spacing, teaching these guys about how to create open shots, but it's really working. Second highest offensive rating in the league, and I've loved everything I've seen so far from the Celtics. And you wanted to talk a little bit about the Celtics fans, and they're a little bit too hard on this team. I know that they have high expectations, but what do you want to see from the fans in a way where they can, just kind of give these guys a little break here and then on a loss?
This is a PSA to all the Celtics fans. Okay. Take the pacifier out of your mouth, put the baby blanket away, and grow up. Is what it is.
Yeah.
Because you go in the comment section after a Celtics loss, within the 4 that we've had, you see people saying Jaylen Brown's not worth the money. This team is the same as last year. They're never going to win a championship with this core. How fragile are you? Like, this is sports, right? We're not going to win. No team has ever won every single game except the stupid Dolphins when there was like half a season.
Yeah.
Especially in the NBA, I think we've talked about this. People have this expectation of like, oh, they're going to go for the 73-9 Warriors run. Like, that's never going to be done again.
No.
It's really not, because if you need Steph Curry, KD, freaking whatever his name is,
Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and you need like the entire rest of the league to just be depleted.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, KD was not on that team, but that team was just like the new version of like basketball before it had really transitioned to like 3-point dominant play. that's what the Warriors were. And that's why they had taken the league by storm and they were beating all these teams because nobody else was able to shoot at a clip that they were.
Go off, Anthony.
But it's just so frustrating to me because, all right, yeah, they lose to the Sixers and they lose to the Timberwolves, and those were the first 2 losses of the season.
Back to back.
Timberwolves are the number 1 seed in the West in a game that went to overtime.
Best defense in the league, too.
And then the Sixers game in Philly, I believe we were without Derek White in that game as well. We end up coming back late, lose by 3 points. Okay, right? Then we have the loss to the Hornets. That one, inexcusable. But every team has bad losses. I tweeted this after that game because people were freaking out. I found a game. You know what? Let's go into my Twitter right now. Let me pull up the exact tweet that I created because nobody wanted to respond.
Shout out that Twitter handle.
That's actually I pulled up the stats from a game last season between the Nuggets and the Pistons, which took place around the same time. It was November 22nd. Pretty much the same. I think it was like 2 days before the Celtics lost to the Hornets this year.
Okay.
Hornets lose 110-108 to the Detroit Pistons, the 4-15 Detroit Pistons. That Denver team went on to win the NBA championship.
Obviously, yeah.
Did that loss in November have an impact on them winning the championship?
Nope. Not at all. Clearly.
Does them losing to the Pistons in November make them a bad basketball team?
Nope. And I guarantee you their media was not all over them like they are the Celtics right now.
No.
And I know that the Nuggets had, for some reason, less expectations last year than the Boston Celtics.
Despite having the reigning league MVP.
Yeah, reigning league MVP and having such a, perfect roster around him filled with shooters and defense. Like, it seemed like a perfect fit. I was high on the Nuggets all last year, and I guarantee you that entire media market was not over-exaggerating over a November loss. They were just saying, okay, they got caught. They had one little bad game. It's how you react to those bad games after.
I feel like we're turning into like the Philly fans.
Yes.
The fans that we've all always made fun of and hated, how it's like the Philadelphia Eagles early on this season. I think it was the first game. They go out, they don't score a touchdown in the first half of their first game, and the Eagles fans boo them off the field into halftime. And they've done the same thing for the Sixers.
Yeah.
It's just like, you cannot have that expectation for your teams because they're all human. I'm sure we've had bad days at work or at school, just like everybody else. Like, you're going to show up some days and you're not going to play well. You're not going to do your job well. It is what it is.
Yeah, people don't understand that these are humans. Yeah. These basketball players are humans.
Jaylen Brown should never have an off night.
No.
He's being paid $300 million.
He's getting paid $300 million. Why is he not in the gym 18 hours a day working on his left hand? Oh my God, his left hand is bad. Every player has a weak spot in their game. Every player has a bad game every now and then. And it's how you react to those bad games. If you have a stretch of 5 or 6 bad games in a row, yes, we're going to be looking, okay, what are you doing differently this in last week that is making you a worse basketball player? But if you're coming out, you're having a bad game, you're a little sore, maybe the plane ride, you got a little sore sitting in the plane for so long, and you come back into that game, you don't have a great game, this entire media market's ripping you apart.
Yep.
How do you think that the players are going to react to being ripped apart after? I wouldn't want to be here. And so you're going to be inevitably kicking your players out of this entire organization because you have these incredibly high expectations for them to be perfect every single day.
You can't lose.
And you imagine
even that you can't lose, don't even allow it to be close.
Yes.
Because if you even blow a lead and still win, they're coming at your throat.
Exactly. And I relate this to me moving back in with my parents. When you move back in with your parents, there's that little bit of, competition with your dad when you're moving in. Like, you're both the alphas in the house and you don't know how to, manage that relationship when you move back after 4 years of college. And then, they start nitpicking you, clean your room. or they nitpick you on you're going to be late for work. Why don't you leave now? Or blah, blah, blah. They just nitpick and nitpick. And it makes you not want to be here anymore. It makes you be like, okay, like I'm an adult now. I can make the decisions for myself. Please stop nitpicking me. I'm going to make mistakes. And same thing with the players. If I was a player and every single game, I was having a bad day and I had to walk to that interview post game and just get shredded after being, only having 3 or 4 losses on the year, being a former all-NBA player, and you're just getting ripped apart like you're some bench dude that like shouldn't be out there.
And then they're like, "Oh, why are you so defensive?"
Yeah, why are you so defensive? Why are you like you're getting so much money? Why do you care what we say? Blah blah blah. Because that's like their entire like last name. That's their entire family that you're discrediting. All the people that love Jaylen Brown, they go on and they see all of these like horrible things being said about their family member. Like, yeah, obviously when the time comes to get a new contract, he might be like, okay, I can go somewhere else where they'll treat me nicely and they'll be so thankful I'm there. What if he goes to Oklahoma City? They're like, who the hell ever comes to Oklahoma City? Thank you. Gosh. We love you. We'll treat you like royalty here. We don't care if you win a championship. Just play good basketball. Like, we'll treat you like royalty here. Maybe that's something the players will think about. And I 100% agree with you, Anthony. The fans need to calm down and wait until the playoffs to be having these like, oh my God, two bad games in a row. The season's over. Yeah, in the playoffs, maybe 2 bad games in a row does cost you the season. But right now in November, we're working things out. We have a almost completely new roster and young head coach. Just give it some fucking time.
And sometimes you got to tip your cap when Anthony Edwards drops 38 points, when LaMelo Ball drops 36 points. Sometimes that has less to do with how you're playing and that guy's just going off.
Exactly.
These guys are great NBA players. And sometimes it's just not your night and it's their night.
I think the Boston media connotation behind the NBA in general, I think we're more like this entire area is more of a football hockey market, I would say. Like they're very, very passionate about the Bruins, very passionate about the Patriots. When the Patriots and Bruins aren't doing well, usually all of the media that you're ingesting in Boston is horrible. It doesn't matter if the Celtics and the Red Sox are doing good. They don't care.
Yeah.
And so I've said it time and time again. If you're going to still think about the NBA in general as this top-heavy league that like, oh, the top teams are going to blow out the bad teams every single night. Yeah, there's a couple bad teams and there's a couple great teams. But the middle of the NBA now is a lot better than it was in years past. We're not seeing the same NBA that we did in 2016, 2017, 2018 when the stars were going to the big markets and then the little markets were just, completely shot and had no chance.
Yep.
It's a completely different NBA, and I want people to sit back. If you're going to talk about the NBA, watch some of the other teams for once, and don't make your lazy takes about, oh, the Celtics just failed. They were supposed to win that game, so because they lost, it was all on them. No, there's really good players everywhere else.
And stop just looking at the record. The record doesn't show everything. Sometimes it does. Like the Detroit Pistons are bad this year.
Yeah.
They're 2-15. They're really bad.
I had a little bit higher expectations for them this year. Yeah. They've looked horrible, and that horrible loss to Washington was like, how do you let Washington pull their starters in the fourth? Like that's by all means lose by 4 to the Washington Wizards, fine, but they're allowing the Washington Wizards to pull their starters in the game. Yeah, that's a bad team. But
let's say the Clippers, the 7-9 Los Angeles Clippers. If the Celtics played the Clippers tomorrow night and lost, and James Harden and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard all went off for like 25 points, would you be like, that's a terrible loss because they're 7-9 and we're 14-4?
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen because people aren't watching the games. And I really just like the NBA has got this connotation of being like an unwatchable league, but they're doing everything right recently. I mean, like with the play-in tournament, adding that aspect, I've loved the in-season tournament so far. Last night had me on the edge of my seat about a fucking Chicago Bulls game in the middle of November. I'm like,
I kept refreshing. I was like, is Brooklyn up by 8? Is Brooklyn up by 8?
Yes, I was switching through the channels, and even after the Celtics and Nets game conceded and we got that in-season tournament spot, I was watching that Warriors game. That Warriors game was amazing. It felt like a playoff game. It was amazing. And to be able, one, to allow small market teams who really don't have a chance to win the NBA Finals to go out there, win an in-season tournament championship, and get some momentum. Maybe not for the season now, but the season next year. Going, hey, dude, in the beginning of this regular season, we were the best team. We won that in-season tournament, and these small market teams now have a chance to gain some momentum off of this, and I love it. I love seeing the competitiveness up. I love seeing, like, although it's not like really playoff intensity, and it like some of the players really don't care as they come out and say like, oh, the in-season tournament, I really don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. As the years go on and we get more comfortable with it, I believe that this is going to be a success, and I love the NBA for taking a chance on something like this. The other leagues, the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, yeah, the MLB has done some stuff with the pitch clock that's worked really well, but other than that, all these leagues have stayed the same, stayed pretty similar, and obviously, like, the NFL, biggest sports organization in the world, like, yeah, like, they don't really have to change much, but I would love to see some tweaks and be able to make the game funner. It doesn't have to be the same game for 100 years.
No.
It can be more fun, and the NBA is taking chances, and they're doing well, and I love it. I've loved NBA basketball. You guys, like, for anybody who isn't watching basketball because someone in their ears telling them, oh, the fouls are horrible, basketball's soft.
It's not the way it used to be.
It's not the way it used to be in the 90s when you couldn't double team anyone and you could just, like, punch someone in the face.
He's no Michael Jordan.
He's no Michael Jordan. He couldn't handle the defense back then when freaking Mark Price is out there shuffling his feet like this. Like, obviously, Michael Jordan's going to fucking average 30 points a game when the defense is looking like that. I hate when people are just like so. Mark Price. I'm sorry for the dig on Mark Price there. He was a great player, but I mean, like, it was just the first example that came to my head. Like, the 90s defense gets this like whole like. Everyone thinks that it was all that. It was the greatest defense of all. No, there were so many different rules back then that now the players are so much better, and they can shoot from so much farther away, and they can jump so much higher.
Doesn't that make it more interesting to watch as a fan?
And you would think so. You would think so. And the ratings have gone up. I've seen obviously significant rating increase in the NBA, but it seems like the older generations, like our parents' generations, are the ones that are, like they went through that little like weird phase of basketball in the 2000s where it was like very not defense heavy, but the offense was like significantly impacted due to the changes. They took away the defensive violation rule where you can't double team. They took away zone defense wasn't banned anymore, so they started bringing zone back. It took like a decade for players to adjust to this new NBA, and they have, and it's so amazing to watch. It's incredible athleticism on display every single night. And the NBA is different. The NBA is much more enjoyable to watch now than I think back then. I'm watching highlights from the 2000s, and they're just still running slow pick and roll, getting into their sets, taking the whole 24 seconds every single time. Phoenix Suns came and changed that 7-second offense, and ever since then, we've seen significant offensive increases, and the league has been so fun to watch.
And I'm not trying to cross sports here, but people always talk about, like, in baseball, they're like, oh man, even the older generations, like, I want to see more hitting. I want to see more home runs. I want to see more, I want to see more runs up on the board.
Yeah.
But then when you go to the NBA, it's like defense, defense, defense. I don't want to see them checking up 3-pointers. All right. What's the difference? Yeah. Don't you want to see a higher scoring, more people like, yeah, okay, let's just watch them miss shots. Let's watch really good defense and watch them miss shots all the time. That's cool.
Yeah, that's so fun.
And the 88 to 89 game, that's cool.
Guarantee you, all the people that are talking like that, you ask them, tell me one defensive set in the NBA that they run. Tell me one offensive motion. Can you explain the Spain offense to me?
Yeah.
Can you explain floppy action in the NBA? They won't be able to.
No.
And so I'm not like shaming the casual fan. Like, if you don't know everything about NBA basketball, you don't know sets, you don't know defensive rotations, that's fine. That's fine. Watch the game and you can enjoy it that way. But if you're going to nitpick the entire game, and I come back to you and ask you certain certain questions about rotations or offensive gameplay at all, and you can't give me anything back, I'm just gonna be like, okay, you just love being mad.
Watch the game.
Some people just like being mad about things, and so you gotta just understand that. And
I'm sorry. I just had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's definitely something that the fans need to understand. They need to understand that they have a lot more pull for players coming here, and that we've done an amazing job with, the on-court interaction. Fans, we've been labeled as the loudest fans in the NBA. We always, it doesn't matter if it's November, December, those regular season games are going to be sold out and everyone's going to be loud on their feet. We are the greatest, loudest fans for the Boston Celtics, and that's one good thing. But you can't, support the team that greatly in the wins, and then in the losses treat them like shit, because these players are going to be here.
It's draining.
These players are going to be here for a while, and it's draining. And if you're going to cause them if you're going to be a negative impact on their life, then obviously I wouldn't blame them for leaving.
No.
So think about what you guys are tweeting, saying, going at players, because right now we are the most successful team in the NBA. We have looked the part. We have looked as the favorite in the NBA going into the year. Vegas had us number one with the Bucks, flip-flopping 1-2-1-2. Bucks having a slow start right now. And so we're the clear number ones. And it's time to just sit back, enjoy basketball, and, be a good fan, support our players.
It's November.
Enjoy
the ride.
Enjoy the ride, because this season could end up in a championship, and you're going to be pissed if the entire beginning of the season you were just shit talking. Oh, they're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. Okay, don't show up at the parade. Don't show up at the parade.
We should have a list of all the people on Twitter that have just been absolutely brutal for the Celtics. Nope, sorry, you can't be in this parade.
Yeah, and you know what? You know who's gonna have the best media access at the parade? All of the radio. No. You know what? Maybe, honestly, if you guys bump this up a little bit, but no, it's gonna be all the guys who are talking shit. Jim Murray,
Felger and Matt. Felger's gonna be like, you know what? I knew it from day one. This team was different.
Yeah. No,
you didn't.
No, you didn't. Yeah. Their biggest thing right now is they're pressed on the whole Kristaps Porzingis edition. They see him go down with one injury. They're like, oh my God, I told you he was going to get hurt. I was so right. I know everything about basketball. No, you don't. No, because obviously injuries happen. And oh my God, was I scared when he was grabbing that calf. I thought it was another Achilles. I thought it was. And so thank God, good news coming out of the MRI for Kristaps Porzingis, just a little calf strain, and he should be back. And yes, we are missing Kristaps Porzingis right now. And going into these play-in games, I would love for him to play on Monday versus the Pacers, because I think the Pacers right now are a top 3 team in the East. They're number 1 in pace. They're we blew them up by 50 points in the beginning of the season, but they've gotten some momentum.
They didn't have Halliburton that night.
Exactly. That's their entire offense. It's like James Harden in Houston back in 2018. If they didn't have James Harden,
it's a bunch of role players.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of role players around him. They made that team around Tyrese Halliburton because they knew of the step he could take this year. And so now he's averaging 32 and 13 over his past 5 games. We're going into a play-in game where it's playoff intensity
in Indiana.
And the Pacers are hungry. I know Aaron Nesmith would love to get a win over the Celtics, after everyone's saying, we traded a bag of chips for Brogdon and now he's coming back and he looks great this year, shooting over 40% from 3. And I think that the Pacers are here to play. They don't know about their playoff, where they're going to be seated in the playoffs. Yeah. They could have a big injury and end up falling off towards the end of the year. And so this could be their only chance to win something this year.
It's one game.
And it's a one game. It's not a series. You can't feel it out. You got to feel it out in the first quarter. In the second quarter, you got to change something. So we got to go in there. We got to expect to play a fast-paced game, a high-scoring game. And I think that it's going to be, if you're a betting man and you're looking at that over, if it's around 250, 240, I wouldn't be scared about that. I would take it because this is going to be a high scoring game, I believe. So looking at the entire tournament right now, we got the West Coast, the Lakers and Suns will be playing each other, the 1 and 4 seeds respectively. And then 2 and 3, the Kings and Pelicans will be playing each other. And then in the East, we also have the Milwaukee Bucks and Knicks playing each other. I want to talk about that game first. Milwaukee 4-0 in season tournament play. Yes, this season they've looked a little bit rocky, trying to mesh Damian Lillard, Giannis, going along with a bunch of injuries on their team as well.
They're lucky they're not playing in Boston because
exactly.
They'd be torn apart.
Yeah, exactly. Because we handed it to them last time, and they did make a nice comeback late, but it was too late, and we ended up getting that win. But in that Knicks-Bucks game, the Knicks, they're bottom in the league in pace right now, but top of the league in defense. And so
what a Tom Thibodeau type of team.
Exactly. And you know those guys are going to be playing at least 42 minutes. All the starters are going to be playing 42 minutes in that game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect? Do you have an outcome in mind for that Milwaukee Knicks game? And who would you rather play if the Celtics were to advance past the Pacers?
I think the Bucks are going to come out with the win in that one. Julius Randle just hasn't really had it this season once again. Jalen Brunson's done a great job of carrying that team, and RJ Barrett has done a nice job stepping up as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like in a game like that, Dame and Giannis are just going to be too much for the Knicks to handle. They don't have enough around Jalen Brunson right now. So I have the Bucks coming out of that game, and then I also have the Celtics going to beat the Pacers.
Okay.
So I think for the Celtics, I think I would rather them play the Bucks, honestly, because it seems like every time the Celtics play the Knicks, they really play us well. That first game of the season went to overtime. Last year too, they gave us a couple of tough games.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense they play really good defense against us, especially with like Josh Hart on Tatum. Like I feel like that's a good matchup for them.
RJ Barrett's looked a lot better on defense this year.
So I would rather play the Bucks. I also think looking at how the Celtics played the Bucks last week, the Bucks look slow. They don't look like they can keep up with the Celtics, especially in transition.
Mm-hmm.
And defensively, like we were picking them apart for majority of that game.
Yeah.
I know Brook Lopez is having a good year defensively, but like Dame is a what's the door? Revolving door.
A revolving door.
Yeah, pretty much.
Defense.
Like
yeah, you got him.
He tries, but
he has been trying a lot better this year. I've seen a significant intensity increase on the defensive end. It seems like the Bucks have kind of gotten into his head. Like they won all of their games in the past through defense with Drew Holiday. Obviously, having him, we've seen the effects of Drew Holiday, what he can have on a defense. And so, going into this season, I bet you they were in Dame's ear like, hey, we know you're going to be averaging like 30 points a game. You're going to be shooting, these 40-foot threes. And we just, want a little bit more on the defensive end because, we're going to get picked apart unless you step up. And so he has been playing harder, but an easy pick, a guy that can set a nice screen and then, seal him off and roll to the bucket. That's going to be easy money all day. Yeah. And so you see teams picking him apart. Chris Middleton looks a lot slower on his feet this year.
That injury did not do him well.
Did not do him well at all. And I could definitely see the Bucks trying to make a move at the deadline with that. Keep your eye on that because I think that the Bucks know their window with Damian Lillard getting up there in age now. It's getting a little bit close. It's closing a little bit if you don't win this year. Mm-hmm. And so I think I could see them making a drastic move, trying to get Chris Middleton maybe to the Portland Trailblazers. Jeremy Grant's averaging 23 points a year this year. Maybe you bring him in because he's a little bit better defensively and he's a better spot up shooter than Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's more of a shot creator, get to his own spot, pull up from mid range. But I think Jeremy Grant might fit that role a little bit well. There's a couple other players that could do that as well.
I was thinking maybe like one of Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, DeMar DeRozan might even slow down their offense even more and might cause some problems with who's holding the ball late in games. Jeremy Grant's more of like a role player.
That's true.
And so I think that might fit a little bit better. But if you get anybody in there over Chris Middleton right now, Chris Middleton just doesn't look the part right now. No. So, yeah, if you can get DeMar DeRozan for Chris Middleton and a couple picks, you do that in a heartbeat. But Bucks are depleted in picks right now. They don't have a lot of young guys that show a lot of promise that they could end up shipping for a guy like that. So maybe the Trailblazers just take on a Chris Middleton contract, maybe get a couple first-round picks, maybe Marshawn Beauchamp, and they roll with that. Mm-hmm. But, speaking on that game in general, I actually have the Knicks winning that game. I've loved what I've seen from RJ Barrett this year. He's taken a leap in efficiency. His shot looks a lot better. Jalen Brunson, though, is the real guy that I think, coming off a most improved player season last year. And then coming into this year, he was shooting 35% on pull-up threes last year. That is now at 39%. Wow. And so he has taken a leap as a deep shot creator, pulling the defense up and creating more open shots for RJ Barrett, more open shots for Quentin Grimes. And I've loved what I've seen. The defensive side, they look really engaged. Tom Thibodeau obviously is always going to lead a great defense, but I think that the X factor for the Knicks is the fact that Julius Randle is back playing pretty efficient basketball. And so
I'm just not high on him.
I'm not high on him either. At the beginning of this year, I was like, wow, Julius Randle is just a net bad for a team. Like, he is not doing anything good on the court. His body language was off. He was just kind of jogging up and down the court, not playing hard on defense. I think Tom Thibodeau got in his ear the past couple weeks, because last night, 25 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists. He looked very good. And I think that going into this year, after I think he was dealing with an injury in the offseason, he came back. He just seemed a little bit winded, the cardio wasn't up there. And I think as this season progresses, I can fully expect Julius Randle to be back in at least borderline all-star role.
Yeah.
And I think, players just don't become bad.
No.
And Julius Randle, he's always had some questions about his fit on a winning team. But I think that the Knicks in general, just not as a championship contender, but for the in-season tournament and the regular season, I think that Julius Randle is still a great player. I think that as long as his shot attempts are not exceeding 20 on a bad shooting night, then you have a chance to win always. And if he's giving you 25 points, along with Jalen Brunson's amazing shot creating and efficiency, and on RJ Barrett's increased efficiency, and you got Mitchell Robinson, guarding that paint. He has been one of the best paint protectors in the league. I love this Knicks team as a regular season team. I think it fits in a matchup against the Knicks. I don't know if it fits very well against the Celtics, who will just, outpace you and outscore you. And you got Julius Randle trying to guard Jason Tatum. That's not going to work. And Drew Holiday, that matchup on Julius Randle was a very good idea by Joe Mazzulla. He's given up size, but if you can, just have a little shade of help and have Porzingis guarding the paint while Drew Holiday is just manning the post, then I love that defensive scheme for the Celtics going into a game versus the Knicks. I see the Knicks winning. I see us beating the Pacers, and then I think that game's just a dogfight. And I fully expect the Knicks to, play for that championship this year. I really like how they look right now. And
so you have the Knicks over the Celtics?
I can't ever pick a team over the Celtics. That is my one flaw in being a sports journalist right now. And, if I get to watch that Milwaukee game and then I get to watch that Pacers Celtics game, I think, one, it's not going to tell a lot about how that game's going to go, because the pace of the Pacers, number one in the league, scoring the most points in the league, it's going to be a completely different game, like completely different. But I liked how we looked in that first game against the Pacers. Against the Knicks, if we have Kristaps Porzingis back for that game, I'm totally taking the Celtics. If we don't have Kristaps Porzingis for that game, I might lean to the Knicks and advancing for a spot in that championship. And also, I think the NBA kind of wants the Knicks to, end up being in that championship, because obviously I don't think they're going to be fighting for a real championship. Yeah. So to get some New York fans invested in the season early might be, good for the NBA.
The NBA is dreaming of a Celtics Lakers first ever NBA in season championship game in Las Vegas.
That would be good too. Yes, 100%.
I think that would be an ideal situation. Yeah. But the Knicks are not a bad second choice for the league. Quickly, I don't know. What do you think about that Suns-Lakers game?
So the Suns-Lakers game, first of all, Devin Booker has taken an exceptional leap in playmaking this year. I mean, he's averaging close to 10 assists a game. I was expecting him to take on more of a playmaker role when Bradley Beal came back, and he has Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal on his wings, and he can drive and then kick.
Yeah.
But he's taken a leap playmaking even without Bradley Beal, and so it seems like he's setting himself up perfectly for when Bradley Beal comes back. Bradley can just focus on the spot up shooting, scoring. Doesn't have to worry about taking a step in playmaking, and I think that team is going to be very good once he's back. But the Lakers right now, they also are one of the lower teams in pace this year. I think they play at their own pace. I think that LeBron, in any game that matters more than a regular season game, I'm going to take him over Kevin Durant, and I'm going to trust that Anthony Davis can abuse Yusuf Nurkic. I just heard a stat on the dunker spot on my way up here, and the Yusuf Nurkic is defensive rating this year is 117 when on the court. So he has been horrible defensively. Yes, he's been a great rebounder and post opportunity player for them, but they definitely need to either look to getting a defensive minded big on that team, a guy that can maybe just catch lobs and play a role for them and not really slow the team down too much, because I think at a high pace this Suns team is almost unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little like weak spot for me. I expect Anthony Davis to abuse Yusuf Nurkic down low, and I expect the Lakers to win this game.
Okay. And then Kings Pelicans. I have the Kings.
Yeah.
I think Pelicans are a little too inconsistent for me.
Yeah.
I know they have CJ McCollum coming back now.
They do. Okay.
After his he had like a ruptured lung or punctured lung or something crazy. But I just think the Kings are a fun team, man. They're just like I love how fast they play.
Yeah.
Malik Monk has taken a huge step in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, they've just been playing really well. So I have the Kings over the Pelicans in that one.
Yeah, and that one, I haven't really liked what I've seen from the Pelicans. I love the draft pick of Hawkins out of UConn. Yeah, he is a lights out shooter, and that's exactly what they needed. They had they have a few guys on their team that are great on defense at the wing spot. But they obviously give up shooting with Herb Jones and others out there. And so the addition of him has been very, very, has looked very smooth for them. It seems like they kind of drafted him and said, hey, we're cool with you taking 10 to 15 shots a game because you're coming from the college game where you're shooting around 45% from three. If you come here and you do that, you do that off of maybe just 5-7 attempts a game, maybe even to 10, then that's going to help us.
Yep.
And so I've liked that addition. Zion Williamson seems like he's just like he'll pick games to be dominant in, and then he'll pick games to not be dominant in. He starts the half with 18 points, and then you see he finishes with 22. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, what is he doing in the second half? Is he too winded? I haven't watched too many Pelicans games to make that decision. But with the addition of CJ McCollum coming back, I think that's going to be a competitive game. But I agree with you. I would take the Kings in this one just because De'Aaron Fox is lights out right now. Over 30 points a game, shooting very efficiently from three. And again, taking that clutch player role late in games. I think this is going to be a close game, and I trust De'Aaron Fox's clutch efficiency over anyone on the Pelicans. And CJ McCollum coming back from injury usually means that he's going to be trying to get his shot back, feel it out a little bit. I don't know if
he had a lung injury. He's probably going to be a
little winded too. And I don't know if there's going to be a minutes restriction or anything, but that's a little weird. It seems like that's a game for the Kings to lose. And they could go out there and shoot 15% from three and end up losing that game. I could totally see that, but I'm not predicting off of what could happen. I'm predicting off what I've seen so far. And I love, ever since De'Aaron Fox has come back, I've loved what I've seen from the Kings.
Yeah.
So I would take them. And then in a matchup versus Lakers Kings for me, did you say you took the Suns or the Lakers?
I think I'm going to take the Lakers.
Yeah. So Lakers versus Kings, who would you like in that one?
If the Celtics are going to make it, I want to see the Lakers win, but I could totally see the Kings beating the Lakers.
Yeah, I totally see the Kings winning that game. I think the in-season tournament is made for these type of teams, I believe. That's why I'm a little shaky on this Pacers-Celtics game. But I think that the Kings right now have the best window to getting to the championship out of all of the 8 teams that are involved right now.
Yeah.
I think that they match up very well against the Lakers and Pelicans. Even if they pull the Suns and Bradley Beal still isn't there, I would still take the Kings over the Suns. And so the pace of them, I think that the Lakers, they're a bit older. They're a bit, they want to just run their half-court sets, let LeBron handle the ball. And then when LeBron comes out, it's Austin Reeves' time to handle the ball. He's looked great, 15, 6, and 5 this year since coming off the bench. And they're 7 and 3 since that switch. So the Lakers, very good team this year. But I see the Sacramento Kings coming in there, just kind of outrunning the Lakers in this one and taking it. And I think a Celtics-Kings matchup is made for a very good basketball game. If that was the matchup that we drew, I'm very excited to watch that game. One, because I'm very confident in the Celtics in pulling that off, but also I love high pace, high scoring games. The Pacers Celtics game is just like my bread and butter. Like I might have to get some private time after watching that. But in all seriousness, I think the Kings have the biggest window of getting to the championship in the West.
Quickly before we transition to the Patriots, unfortunately, do you have a problem with Joe Mazzulla fouling Andre Drummond last night?
Not at all. This is something that has been frustrating me around the league a bit. This talk about the unwritten rules about the NBA and that you can't run up the score and that it's disrespectful to the game. Okay, if it's a regular season game, you're up 30 and you still got your starters out there. One, I think it's more on you for trying to put your star players in a position to just get hurt in a random game that means nothing towards the end. I think that's more saying like the about the risk you're taking than disrespecting the other team. And so we saw with the Raptors game where we challenged that call late. We were up 27 and Joe Mazzulla comes out and says, I'm going to coach my guys no matter what. I want them to know that I'm there, down 27, up 27, 5 seconds left, 15 minutes left, does not matter. I want to coach my guys and put them in the best position to win basketball games. And so you see guys like DeMar DeRozan coming out and being pissed off about running up the score in a game where you have to run up the score to advance in the in-season tournament.
The rules are.
It's what the rules are. And so are you asking teams to just not care about the in-season tournament? Are you asking teams to just be like, we don't want to hurt the Bulls' feelings. We don't want to hurt those grown men's feelings who are making millions of dollars and they have to stay another 10 minutes because we challenged a call or we're fouling Drummond late and it's making the game extend.
It's hurting his feelings because he can't shoot. You're picking on him because he can't shoot free throws.
Yeah, exactly. Get him out of the game is what I want to say. Like, get him out of the game. If you don't want that guy being fouled late in games, okay, put a shooter out there then and get beat inside. Like you haven't constructed a good team. You have not constructed a good team. You are one of the worst teams in the league. And you are going to get picked apart all season. It's just like either ask out of Chicago, DeMar, or win the game, change something, get out there and be intense. Don't sit out the entire fourth quarter and then complain about it after the game.
Yeah.
So, I think that...
take the challenge. Be like, you know what? You're going to leave your starters in because you want to beat us by 23. I'm going to stay out there and I'm going to make sure that you're not going to beat us by 23. Dude, wouldn't that be an entertaining way to go?
That's exactly how I thought he was going to come out at halftime. We were up 19, and I was actually scared about that. I was like, okay, we're up 19. We need 4 more points to advance. I could totally see DeMar DeRozan coming out here and be like, fuck you. I'm sick of this. I'm going to just make sure that it's not 23. I'm going to make sure you guys don't go to the in-season tournament. Like, fuck you if you're going to disrespect me. Like, you guys aren't going. So he should have taken that role. And yes, late in the third quarter, he steps on Drew Holiday's foot, twists his ankle. Those guys are buddies back from SoCal. They grew up in the same area together. And so it was weird. Drew Holiday walks up to him after he steps on his foot and he's like, hey, I'm sorry about that. And he kind of just bumps him and walks away. And I was like, dude, really? Like one of your childhood best friends who's like come to the NBA is coming over and saying, like, I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, whatever. Fuck you. Like, he's pissed off about it. It's like he's just in a bad mental space in Chicago. I want to see DeMar DeRozan go somewhere and compete for a championship because I love DeMar DeRozan, but I think that the whining and the complaining just is a bad look for your team, bad look for you, and you should be wanting to win these games, not wanting the teams to not hurt you so bad.
Yeah.
So that's my take on that.
I agree. We have to just. These guys can't be soft like that.
No.
The Celtics lost to Orlando, and Orlando was putting up, towards the end of the game after the starters had come out, I think the Celtics lost that game by 17, or maybe it might have been like 22 points or something like that. It was a good margin. And like the Magic were not taking their foot off the gas because it's the in-season tournament and they wanted to build, they were up 23 points in point differential, which they knew the Celtics were going to have to beat the next game. Did you hear Joe Mazzulla after the game? Like, they should have left in Paulo Banchero, because that was not nice. Like, we'd already lost the game, and they were continuing to score. That was not nice.
Yeah, you have like really good players on your team. Can you not play them late in games when the point differential matters? Like, that really hurts my feelings. If he came out and said that, I'd be like, all right, get Brad down from the organization, get him down on the court
Jeff
now.
Van Gundy, you are the new coach of the Celtics.
Exactly. And we get to, all the Celtics players get to hear him rant for 10 minutes during the timeout.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, you know, I had sex with this girl one time in Calabasas. Like, it's just some random rant. Like, get him down there and let him coach the team if Missoula's doing that. But he's not. No. I fucking love Missoula this year. He has taken the role as, like, he's obviously younger than Al Horford. He's one of the youngest head coaches in the league, and he's going out. He's acting like a man. Yeah. And he's done everything right. I don't want to see anybody calling into radio stations in Boston going, yeah, I just think that Missoula is going to be the reason we end up losing. If we're
based on what?
Based on what? They don't have anything to base it off of, and they're trying to make it seem like the inexperience from Missoula is going to be the reason we lose. No, it is not going to be the reason we lose. The reason we lose is if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Porzingis and Drew Holiday, if one of them gets hurt or one of them decides to put up a stinker in the playoffs 2 or 3 games in a row. That's how we're going to lose. We're not going to lose because our young coach, who is analytically sound and is amazing on the mic now, that is not going to be the reason that we end up losing this championship. And if we're one of the 29 teams who doesn't win the championship this year, I guarantee you all of the lazy takes that are going to be coming out is going to be fire Missoula. When he is one of the youngest up-and-coming coaches, he was top 3 in Coach of the Year last year, and he is constructing one of the best ball movement / offenses I've ever seen from the Celtics in my 12 years of watching this team every single game.
And it annoys me when people are like, well, Missoula, he's not Ime Udoka. Like, no, he's not.
He's not fucking the owner's wife? Like, I'm sorry. Sorry, he's following the rules.
It's also like, I think Ime was a little bit overrated at times as well. Like, that offense that we had that year, like, granted, we had an incredible defense, but in an offensive league, our offense was subpar, which was a main reason why we lost the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we were focused on defense, and then we go into the finals and we get outscored by the Warriors. And so we go into this offseason, and yeah, we're expecting Ime to be the coach. It ends up being a switch. And then last year we have the number 1 rated offense and defense in the league. Yeah. And people are like, oh my God, the defense just looks horrible. We had the number 1 rated defense in the league.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else he could have done. And yeah, we don't have a focus on defense anymore. Good, because it's an offensive-minded league. Yep. I'm sorry for all the fucking old heads that want a defensive gritty championship to come to ball. It's not going to happen. We have one of the most electric offensive lineups in the league. We're going to be focusing on that and then allowing our role players, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, take on the defensive roles one-on-one and try to focus on not letting their matchup score. But in general, you shouldn't go into the games wanting a defensive showdown. That just means your offense didn't do well in the league today. Exactly. And so we'll wrap it up here. Thank you guys for listening to our in-season tournament special, and we are going to be very excited to watch that Monday night Pacers-Celtics games. We'll probably release the Celtics podcast after that game, and hopefully it's an advancement, and we can talk about the matchup between either the Knicks or the Bucks. All right, Patriots fans, thank you for sticking with us this horrible regular season so far. The Patriots end up losing this toilet bowl 7-10. The Patriots only score 1 touchdown against the Giants. Giants have been horrible this year, and they allowed Tommy DeVito to come in and get a win. And it's honestly just sickening to watch the Patriots right now. It's so embarrassing. We were going into this game a couple weeks ago. We were talking, oh my God, we're playing the Giants next week. That's going to be horrible. But you can't imagine that Bill Belichick against a rookie quarterback who's undrafted is going to, let him win the game. I know that we got put in a position to tie the game and go to overtime, but that shouldn't have been the expectation, and that shouldn't have been the
We should be beating them.
We should be beating them. And you set up Chad Ryland for a game-tying field goal to go to overtime. I honestly, even if he made that field goal, I was fully expecting the Patriots to lose in overtime.
Yeah.
It seemed like this entire game, both coaches weren't focused on the offensive side of the ball. They were focused on getting good field position, setting up the punts very well, hopefully allowing the other team to make a mistake. And that's exactly what we did. 3 times in the first half, Mac Jones has a fumble, 2 picks, and then Bailey Zappi goes out there and, with some momentum after that first touchdown to start the half. And he goes out there, throws one of the worst picks I've seen all season. Mm-hmm. And that's saying something when Mac Jones has been our quarterback for the entire season. So, there was a lot of talk between me and you going into this bye week saying who's going to start, because it shouldn't be Mac. There's no competent head coach who could watch Mac Jones the past, 9-10 weeks and be like, yeah, I'm confident going in.
Out there.
No, send him back out there. Let's see him ruin his reputation even more around the league. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's exactly what we did. And we flipped to Bailey Zappi again. I saw a funny tweet where it was the Patriots just tweeting, Bailey Zappi has now entered the game. Bailey Zappi has now entered the game. And it's been 5 times this year. Like, please, just give the ball to Zappi. At this point, I know last week I was saying Greer, give it to Greer. I want to see Greer. And we end up cutting him right before the game and signing Connor McDermott instead to go into that game. And
yeah, I understand that you have to elevate someone. Can you cut someone from a non-essential position?
Yes.
Please. Can you cut the 9th cornerback, Alex Austin, that will never touch the field? No. We're going to cut one of the quarterbacks who's in contention because, there was momentum around like Will Greer possibly playing. So now Bill Belichick has to cut him to show the media they know nothing.
Like, why not cut maybe one of our starting tackles? I'd rather do that. Vidarian Lowe, get him out of here.
Wheatley Jr.
Yeah, this is a shit show, and I'm so sorry for all of you guys who are even more committed than us that have to watch these games because, it's one thing to have a middling team every single year, and you go into the year not having any expectations, and yeah, they only win 2 games so far out of the first 11. And you're like, you know what? I'm just looking forward to next year. I haven't had that click in my head yet where I'm like, I'm just looking forward to next year. I just want to see my team competitive at the minimum. And, yeah, we're in placing for the 2nd highest draft pick right now. That's good. Yeah, okay, now the Giants have 4 wins. We don't really have to worry about them anymore. I don't see us getting 4 wins.
There's a bump. It's Carolina, Arizona, Patriots, and then the next teams all have 4.
Yeah, so we basically, without a late season surge out of nowhere, have secured a top 3 spot in the draft. And we have talked so much about who we want to see the Patriots draft. Is it a quarterback? Is it a wide receiver? Watching that Big Ten championship game, Marvin Harrison Jr. literally just the defenders are tackling him before he can catch the ball, and he's still making the plays. And it's like, wow, imagine having a guy like that where you could have a middling quarterback that just throws it in his vicinity and he's going to come down with it every single time. That's something that I want to see. Mm-hmm. And yeah, going into the draft, there's going to be the combine, there's going to be workouts, there's going to be certain things we're learning about every player. So we can't make any, confirming decisions on that. But right now, I believe that I want to see the Patriots ride out this season, all losses, just set yourself up for that pick. And unfortunately go into next year hoping that it's going to be different, which I don't see a bright spot at all.
Yeah.
There's no bright spot. You can't look and be like, all right, so they got good corners and they got good safeties, but they just need some good line. No, it's like we need everything. We got Christian Gonzalez and Matthew Judon coming back. I fully expect us to get rid of Judon and send him to a contender because he has given us plenty in his stint in New England. Mm-hmm. And so there's really nothing for me to look at from this team to be excited about. Did you see anything in this game that you were excited about at all?
Demario Douglas.
Yes.
But we continue to roll out our best offensive weapon in the punt return. And then he gets clocked in the head.
That was egregious too.
It was.
And I would be way more fired up about it if we were a good team. But and that didn't get called.
Why are we putting him in that position? Put Ty Montgomery out there and just fair catch it.
He does the kickoffs anyways.
He's your most important offensive piece at this point, and you're putting him in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same stubborn thing that Belichick's done when he's put Wes Welker, and he's put Edelman out there, Danny Amendola, like all those guys that are critical key points to your offense. He's always put in harm's way like that. And it's so frustrating.
And not only is he getting put in harm's way punt returning, but he's also getting put in harm's way because Mac Jones is just setting up his receivers to get knocked out. And so he's like with Brady, you know, he would he said it multiple times. I would throw it to guys so that they could catch it, get down, and protect themselves. And if he was playing a guy like Ray Lewis or someone else that was a hard hitter that he knew, I'm not throwing it over the middle and killing my receivers because I need them for the season. And it's like he hit another gear in being able to command the offense. Like Tom Brady, he had all of what Mac Jones can't do under his belt already. He wasn't even thinking about that. He was thinking about extra shit. And Mac Jones is out there like, please, I just want one completion past 5 yards, please. They're letting
me. Like, some guy blitzes over the line of scrimmage. He's like, closes his eyes when he throws that pick to what's his name?
Okereke. Yeah, the linebacker for the Giants, and he almost had another one-handed pick on Bailey Zappi late in that game too, which was just horrible. Like
he's gifting balls to them.
And so every week I feel like I say, "Oh my God, that was the worst pick I've seen all season." Mac Jones, and he does something worse every single week.
He tops it
every single week. Like, how are you going to let a guy go out there and just like ruin this entire organization on his own? Just a 24-year-old kid that's out there just ruining everything that Bill Belichick has built over the past 20 years. Now, everybody is looking at Bill Belichick saying he's the problem, blah, blah. Yes, he has made some bad decisions. There was bad coaching decisions in that game. There were bad coaching decisions all this year where you're just looking at it like, damn, did he put his guys in the best spot to win games? But are the guys putting his game plan in the best spot to be successful? I don't think so.
It's a combination of everything bad.
Everything bad. So we can't put the blame on anybody because we're going out there. We're putting new quarterbacks in. We're trying new offensive players to get the most targets. You know, we were stressing in the beginning of the year, get Pop Douglas the ball. Now they are, and we're still losing games. So clearly there's nothing that we can do right now to change the outcome of this season. And for the sake of Mac Jones and his mental health and everything, and like his future in the NFL as a backup, because I do think he's going to get another shot on another team. You don't have a Pro Bowl year, a decent year, an entire season, and then just, get kicked out of the league for it. No. He's going to get another opportunity. And
Josh Rosen has been in the league for how many years?
Exactly. Now? And that guy was horrible and never showed any signs of being good.
Yeah.
So you got to take him out. You got to just let either Bailey Zappi or Will Grier just ride the season out, like get a look at these guys. Maybe it's this decision of cutting Zappi or keeping him as the third string backup next year. But you need to start making decisions on the other players in this team and get all of the blame off of this kid. Because, oh my God, these press conferences after the games, they're saddening to hear.
They are.
It's like everybody is just shitting on Mac Jones, and he is 100% taking it on the chin. And I fucking have loved what I've seen from him doing that, but it's not his responsibility to be doing that. Bill Belichick needs to get rid of all of these, stupid little comebacks towards the reporters and just deflecting all of the blame.
He walked out of the last one.
He walked out. You're getting paid $25, $30. You won't even tell us how much you're getting paid. It's probably $25, $30 million a year. And you need to be able to, for 30 minutes after the game, be that guy that takes all the blame. But no, it's been Mac Jones every single press conference because Bill Belichick doesn't have the wherewithal, the leadership to just take the blame for once. And he obviously is getting praised for the past 20 years because of everything he's doing. And they're obviously in Boston sports media, they're going to be nitpicking you no matter if you're 16-0 or if you're 0-16.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he needs to, understand the market he's in and not be so, defensive towards these questions. Everyone's asking, we were expecting you to be competitive at the minimum this year. Robert Kraft comes out during the off season, right before the season, and says, oh, don't sleep on us. Like, we're going to be competitive, like laughing off comments about the minimal changes within the offense and being like, you guys just wait and watch this. Like, this is going to be we're going to exceed expectations. You guys are going to be enjoying good football this year. Sends out a message to all of the season ticket holders and says that. And they come out and they're blowing stinkers every week.
Mm-hmm.
And they lied to us. They lied to us. There's no way they watched that team in the offseason and thought we had any chance of winning.
If they did, then everyone needs to go.
Everyone needs to, exactly. And that's where I was going with that. Like, everyone needs to go if you're going,
you really believe that?
Yeah, like it's
like, you can't evaluate talent at all.
It's saddening to see. And with reports coming out on Belichick's contract saying that if we were to sign a new GM, his contract would be voided. We'd have to pay him, and he would go to another team because he clearly still wants to coach. Based off of the questions that have been asked to him, based off of I just think the fact that these past couple of years have not gone well at all, and he definitely understands all of the media attention, everyone talking about, oh, it was all Brady, all this. I think he does want another chance at going somewhere else and being able to, inherit a good team and be able to, put his scheme out there, and hopefully the players can enhance the scheme and the game plan that he's putting out there every week. And I think that the only way that he's going to be able to do that is leaving. And if we can't sign another GM, which is what I've been harping about, and keeping him as head coach, it's time. It's time for Bill Belichick not to be fired, not to be let go, but to be traded or to be given the chance to go wherever he wants. And same thing as Brady. Go out there, have your last couple of years, win some games somewhere else, but it's not going to be here. We're a full rebuild. It's like crossing sports. It's like the Celtics with Doc Rivers when the big Nets trade happened, and he was looking at that roster with Rondo and then nobody else.
Keith Bogans.
Yeah, and I love Avery Bradley, my favorite Celtic of all time. But I mean, come on, you're not gonna win games with Rondo and Bradley as your starting backcourt back then. So I think that we need to give Belichick at least the same respect as we gave Doc Rivers for one championship, and trade him somewhere else where he can be a positive impact.
It's just like before the beginning of the season, I was angry and mad. Now it's just like depressing and sad. Mm-hmm. It's between the last 2 weeks, we have 13 points combined. The Patriots have given up 20 points total. They've given up 10 points back-to-back games and have lost both of them. In the past 4 weeks, I saw a stat that said Patriots are ranked like number 5th in total defensive, like how many points they've given up in the past 4 weeks. And that's 4th in the league. Mm-hmm. And they're 0-4. As a defender, you must be absolutely like, you can't even really 10 points in the league and you can't win. They have to give up 0 in order for the Patriots to have a chance.
A tie.
And like, you look what they have coming up, right? You have the Chargers this weekend, and then you have 3 primetime games in a row. You have the Steelers on Thursday night.
Oh, those will be flexed. Those have to be flexed.
No
way,
it's
dude.
It's too late.
No.
Steelers on Thursday night, Kansas City on Monday night, and then Denver on Sunday night, Christmas Eve. And the sad thing is, we're going to be embarrassed in all 3 of those games on national television with everybody watching. And 3 straight weeks of us getting blown out by good teams. Those games that we looked at the beginning of the season where we were like, maybe we can get one from the Steelers or the Broncos, those teams are good. Those are good football teams. We're not going to win a game the rest of the year. No. And we have to come to terms with that. Aaron Rodgers will be back by the time they play the Jets. And I don't think we're going to beat them.
No, with their playoff hopes in jeopardy, mm-hmm. and the way that defense plays. And yeah, we won that game against the Jets because Zach Wilson didn't make too many bad decisions in that game, but he also didn't do enough for them to win that game. And so you got a guy coming in, Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if he's got 1 Achilles, 0 Achilles. He's better than Zach Wilson, 100%. And I think that game is going to be set up for a blowout.
Is it fitting that Belichick's last game coaching the Patriots, in all likelihood, will be at home in Gillette against the Jets?
And Aaron Rodgers.
And they come in, how it started.
And they will smack us up. And Bill Belichick's going to walk off that field, probably getting a bunch of boos, probably an unhappy fan. I honestly wouldn't even doubt that the Patriots not only don't sell out that stadium, but I think it's going to look like a Commanders game out there. I don't think that there's going to be more than 10,000 people at that game. And if there are, it's because the tickets are like, they're giving us money to go. Like if they're giving us $10, if someone dude's at the front, like, hey, $10 to come watch the Celtics, I'm like, $10? I don't want to pay that. No, I'm giving you $10. Like, please just watch, please. And I'd be like, I don't know. Sex in the City I've been watching a lot lately. I don't know. I think I'd rather watch that. Yeah. And so, yeah, this is going to be embarrassing. I think that a lot of fans might have hope for that Bills game on December 31st. It's right New Year's Eve. There's not going to be much to do during the day. You're going to be preparing for a long night. And I'm going to be watching it, unfortunately. But I think that
in Buffalo, with their playoff hopes in jeopardy,
in the way our offensive line has not,
we're not winning again.
We're not. And so,
and I wish we didn't beat the Bills earlier.
Yeah, me neither. Because one, that Carolina record might end up screwing us late. Because they have one win right now.
Let's hope that whatever interim coach they hire can get them to play, like, get 1 or 2 games.
I have been watching that so strictly. Like, I am waiting for them to hire their new head coach, because if something like they do something like I saw reports that they were thinking about Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
And so that's like a Jeff Saturday situation where, he came in and won the first game and it was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. The Colts looked horrible after that. Yeah. They were horrendous after that game. And so if the Panthers end up hiring Greg Olsen, one, look into them for fucking tanking allegations, because that's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. He's in the booth. Yeah. He's in the booth right now. Maybe he could be a good head coach later on, but I just don't understand the grab somebody from the booth and let them run the team because they used to play here. Like that it's clear tanking. And I just pray to God that they just bring up their offensive coordinator who's trying to get his name out there for head coaching jobs or something.
Yeah.
And he's out there trying to win games. Because if Greg Olsen comes in, he's going to be like, hey, guys, I'm here to help you guys tank for the rest of the year. Let's just have a good time. Yep. And just let me make my $5 million being a coach. And I'll be right back in the booth for the playoffs. Yep. So let's just,
I still think that the Cardinals can get one more win.
Yeah, with Kyler Murray now back, it seems like I've been waiting for them to have like one of those surprise games where they end up beating the favorite in their game, because, Kyler Murray, I still believe when healthy is a top 10 quarterback. Mm-hmm. And if you have a top 10 quarterback on your team, yes, you always have a chance to win any game, I think.
Their remaining schedule, they played the Steelers this week.
Mm-hmm.
They play the Cardinals. The Cardinals play the Cardinals. Yeah.
They'll end up losing that one. So.
No, they play the Steelers, then they play the 49ers, the Bears, the Eagles, and the Seahawks.
So that Bears game might be big, because I know that the Bears right now have the number 1 pick because of Carolina, but their pick is what? How many wins do they have this year?
4.
4?
Because they just beat the Vikings.
So that game could be huge if we end up, pulling out a Steelers win or something, or a Broncos win. The Broncos have looked good, but that might be a trap game for them. Christmas Eve going in late. A lot of the guys maybe just thinking about Christmas morning a little bit too much. They come in, maybe they have a nice big meal, a nice ham or something. And they come out and blow a stinker. Maybe allow 70 points to the Patriots.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, never. That's not happening. No. We're going to lose. But I totally, the only thing I'm keeping track of in the NFL based on the Patriots is how are the Cardinals doing? How are the Panthers doing? How are the Patriots doing? And are they losing? And that's what we have to look forward to over this next month. So
one last thing though.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned it to you, but Bailey Zappi took the majority of reps during the media session of
and
practice.
Malik Cunningham, right?
He took a couple.
Okay.
Malik Cunningham.
Yeah.
He was wearing a wide receiver jersey, but he was taking some reps.
Okay. So that's kind of sounding like Mac Jones has been told, hey, this year we're just not even going to be looking at you.
I was reading something that they're expecting there may be an injury thing coming out, which very well may be a cover up for like, hey, his shoulder's hurt. We're going to put him on IR for the rest of the season, but it's not his
the
shoulder.
Daniel Jones thing that the Giants did right now. Yeah, $40 million going out there blowing stingers. Hey, maybe this year you just sit and don't let the fans rip you apart, and then maybe next year you come back.
Save your value a little bit.
Yeah, save your value a little bit. I 100%. So since the since the Patriots game versus the Commanders, and the Colts, we have heard that Mac Jones was dealing with that shoulder and hasn't. Uh, all props to him because I haven't heard much bitching coming out of him about that injury. When he's asked about it, it's more like, yeah, I'm dealing with something, but it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to win. Yeah, everyone is right now at this point in the season, and I've loved those answers from him. But it's a clear cover up. Those throws to the sideline this week, there was a fucking floater that I'm going to add into the podcast right now. It's going to be one of the worst throws you've ever seen, and it was just a 5-yard out for an NFL quarterback, floating it out there it's like a fucking teenager is out there with that arm strength. Mm-hmm. And I really hope that his shoulder is really fucked up and he's a dog and he's just playing through it. Fine. That would be perfectly acceptable if it was a really major injury, but I just don't think that he would be trying to play through it going into the year that the 5th-year option is going to be up in debate. I think that
with the record we have,
exactly, early in the year, 1-3, he should have been like, if he was dealing with the injury then, he should have been like, all right, I'm going to go on IR and I'm going to save my value, because he would have a ton more value after those 4 games. After those 4 games, it was like, Mac Jones isn't the problem. This defense fucking sucks, and we're allowing 35 points per game.
Yeah.
We're not going to win games with Mac Jones if we're allowing 35 points. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and give you 35 points and explode the offense. So he would have had way more value if he just did it then. I think he's maybe trying to play through it just because he's trying to, just play his part. He's committed to this team, and everything I've heard from on the mic, off the field, it's been up and down with him saying like, oh, I want the guys to come in earlier. I want the guys to be getting more work in with me. Like, that was good. But then you come out here and for the rest of the season, you're blowing stinkers, and now there's an injury coming out. Okay. Now it's seeming like Mac Jones is just kind of getting like blanketed for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And they're allowing Bailey Zappi or Will Grier or Malik Cunningham to go out there, figure out what you have in them, and then go into the offseason, and maybe we get a late round pick for Mac Jones. If not, cut ties with him, let him go, and see what we can do in the veteran QB market or in the draft.
Yeah.
And, speedy recovery to Mac Jones. No injuries you want to see, but it's a little bit fishy coming out of New England. And so we'll wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening again. Unfortunately, more Patriots games coming up, but
Celtics in-season tournament.
Celtics in-season tournament is here, and the Bruins look good if you're a hockey fan. And there's things to be positive about in Boston sports right now. We are not Cleveland. We are not,
we are not Detroit.
We're not Detroit,
except for the Lions.
The Lions are good, but they'll end up choking it. Yeah. So just stay positive. Get to the offseason with the Patriots, and hopefully we can, lower those expectations, go into the year being a young team with no expectations. Maybe we make something happen,
Yep.
But that's all. And thank you guys for listening again. Next week, we'll be talking about the outcome in this Chargers-Patriots game. Maybe another stinker from the Chargers comes our way. And
hey, maybe we put up double-digit points.
Hey, the Chargers...
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That's craziness.
Justin Herbert, he's been getting a lot of a lot of comfort and a lot of not a lot of target on him because of the bad coaching decisions and the way that the defense has played in the past. But they just before the last touchdown in that Baltimore Chargers game, that team held one of the best offenses in the league to 13 points. Mm-hmm. He had a chance to win that game, and he fumbles in the red zone. Horrible. He's just finding ways to lose games, just as we've seen Mac do so. And he's a young quarterback. He'll figure it out. But I think some blame's got to go towards him a little bit now as we go into the end of this year. It's time for him to start winning games.
Agree.